Yeah, so today we're back with another one. How much money did I make in my photography business as a full-time portrait and wedding photographer in September? Now, before we get into the numbers, I just want to say I am a creative who loves money, but I have never shared before how much money I actually make. Like I've shared that I've made six figures for the past 4 or 5 years, but I never said how much money I've actually made. So this isn't new to me. I'm actually break down what I made the money from. So you'll get a full look into my books today for the month of September. While it's sometimes scary to share your numbers here on YouTube, I think it's really important, especially for me, someone like myself. I am in Harford County, Connecticut. A lot of you guys who may be watching this video have no idea where that is. And that's what's so important about this. I live in a non-major market, and a lot of creators in my surrounding county believe that they actually have to move away to be successful. So I have creative friends who live in LA, who live in Miami, who live in New York City, who live in Atlanta, and they're doing well for themselves. Some of them are six-figure earners as well. And it's almost like they feel like they had to do that to reach those heights. But I am one who actually achieved that right here at home in Connecticut. I think this information is going to be really important for the creative who thinks they need to move, or the creative who doesn't think it's possible in their small area. I'm telling you, it's not easy, but it's absolutely possible because I've done it. I've been running a photography business for the past 12 years, and I've been making a phenomenal income for the past 4 to 5 years. So I'm gonna share some of this information with you guys today. I'm gonna go day by day of the month, let you know how much money I made per day. And then at the end, I'll break down in subcategories of what types of photography services made me the most money from greatest to least. All right, so here we go. September 1st, I made no money. September 2nd, I made no money. This is entrepreneurship, y'all. This is gonna be days you don't make a thing, but you gotta stay on top of your marketing, and you gotta continue to promote yourself so that people know you are here and you are available to work. September 3rd, I made $1,450. That was a wedding balance. So I'll give you guys a quick tidbit on how I do my weddings. I typically ask for a 50% deposit when clients book. Some people do 25%, some people do a third. I just found over the years of trying out a bunch of different things that 50% just works best for me, and that is due upon booking. And then their balances are due 2 weeks before the wedding. Again, some people do their balances the day of the wedding. That's not something that I've learned over the years makes sense, because typically the bride and groom are super busy that day. They may be paying other vendors, just waiting around or having to ask them, do you have that money on their wedding day? It just seems uncomfortable. So ideally, I would say get paid in advance. For me, it's 2 weeks. I know some creators who do a month or 2 months before their wedding. I think that's a little too in advance for myself. Moving on to September 4th, I didn't make any money. September 5th, I made $350. And that was $250 for a portrait session fee and a $100 tip that I received from a session that was booked prior that I had worked on the 5th. So a $100 tip and $250 for a portrait session fee. I'll give you another tidbit. With my portrait sessions, I charge $250 for a 1-hour shoot in my studio, and then I charge $25 per edit. After a photo shoot, I'll upload all of the proofs to my clients. They'll be watermarked on Pixieset. They can go through all of their selections and favorite the ones that they love. And then when they reach out and say, hey, I'm done picking all of my favorites, we charge them $25 per image that they select. And then we retouch those images and send them back out to them. So I'm getting paid for the portrait session up front to book the session, and then nothing is due the day of their session. And then whenever they select their photos, which we give them a 30-day window to select their photos. So if they shoot on the 1st of October, by October 30th, all selections would have to be made. And then that client gets a second invoice from us, basically $25 times the amount of photos that they made. Moving down to September 6th, I made $850. The breakdown of that was a intimate wedding balance of $300, an intimate wedding deposit of $300, and a portrait session fee of $250. Now for me, with my weddings, I do have wedding packages that start at $3,000 for 5 hours of service, but I do offer, because ever since the pandemic, I've noticed a lot of people have been doing 1 to 3 hour intimate elopements. And it's like, those people, even though they're not doing a full day, an 8-hour day, a 10-hour day, they still want amazing photos. So I actually offer hourly photography, which I know a lot of wedding photographers shy away from, but I offer it to my clients, and I probably do anywhere from 6 to 10 of those a year. A lot of my weddings are 8 to 10 hour days, but those 1 to 3 hour ones are amazing. I come in, I shoot the ceremony, We get maybe 30 minutes of portraits after, or an hour of portraits after. They wrap it up. I go back home, I edit, I retouch, I send them over, everyone's happy. My intimate wedding package is $600 an hour, which is basically my 5-hour collection broken down hourly. Just like all of my typical weddings, half of that is due upon booking, and the other half is due 2 weeks prior to your elopement or your intimate wedding date. The 7th of September, I got paid $250 for just one portrait session that we had booked. Mind you, a lot of these portrait sessions aren't actually happening that day. So we're just booking portrait sessions in advance. So these sessions could be 2 months out, 2 weeks out, 5 months out. We just got paid that day, but the session didn't actually happen that day per se. September 8th and 9th, we made no money. September 10th, I made $300 for intimate wedding balance. Again, another 1 hour balance. On the 11th, we made no money. On the 12th, we made $1,050. And the breakdown of that was 3 studio portrait session fees and 1 locational session fee. So I charged $250 in the studio and $300 for locational sessions outside of my studio, as long as they're within typically like a 25 to 30 minute radius of where I am. On September 13th, I made $1,250. That was a wedding balance. On the 14th and 15th of September, I made no money. On the 16th of September, I made $1,125. That was another booking for a portrait session in studio, plus a $875 payout from a brand partnership. So I recently just got into, like the past year or so, branded content on my Instagram page. So it hasn't really ramped up just yet, but every once in a while, every couple of months, I'll get a brand partnership. And I did one video for this particular brand and they paid me $875 for it. 17th of September, we made $250, another portrait session in studio. The 18th of September, $250, another portrait session in studio. The 19th of September, we made $1,000. That was $250 for edits. Remember I said I charged $25 an edit. So a client of ours who had shot with us 2 or 3 weeks prior selected 10 images and we sent them an invoice for $250 for their edits. And the other $750 was a intimate wedding balance who had booked us 5 or 6 months ago. So we recently, about 2 or 3 months ago, changed all of our wedding packages. Fourth quarter or right before fourth quarter, we'll switch our pricing as we're going to the next year, because most of our bookings moving forward now are not going to be for this year. They're going to be for 2025 and 2026. So we slightly adjusted our prices. So that $750 was actually when we used to charge $500 an hour for our intimate wedding. So that's why that balance is a little bit lower. So $750 for that. On the 20th of September, no money. On the 21st of September, we made $925. That was 2 portrait sessions in studio and $425 for edits. 22nd of September, no money. But the 23rd of September, we made $550, and that was all edit. So one client had picked $100 worth of edits, and another client had picked $450 worth of edits. The 24th of September, I made $225. That was for edits. The 27th of September, I made $2,445. That was a deposit for a content video. So I am a photographer, but I do some video work as well, typically branded content or content for small businesses in my local area. So a small business in my local area had booked us to shoot a 30-second reel for their Instagram. I charged $750 for those. So the deposit was half up front, $375. The other monies collected on the 27th of September were $1,750 for a wedding balance and $320 for a wedding album. So we do sell wedding albums as well. Typically we sell more wedding albums after we shot and completed and sent out the wedding to our clients, because we'll offer a discount if they buy an album, usually within the first 2 or 3 weeks of receiving their full gallery back from us. The 28th of September, we made $2,200. Excuse me if I do say we or I. Sometimes I interchange them a lot, because it actually is me and my wife who run my business. So I do all of the portrait work. I've been shooting 12 years. For the first 8 years, I did everything by myself. And then I got super swamped in like 2020, 2021. And my wife just realized how burnt out and overworked I was. So I hired her on to be my assistant. So my wife actually handles all of my back end work now. She does all of the emailing, correspondence with clients, invoices, sending, following up, contracts, all of that stuff. So all I have to do is go out and actually shoot and edit. Oh my goodness. Like it's the best thing. So when I say we, I'm talking about me and my wife. So yeah, the 28th of September, I made $2,200. $250 of that was a portrait session fee in studio, and the other $1,950 was actually a wedding deposit for a new wedding that we had booked on that date. The 29th of September, we made no money, and the 30th of September, we made $1,075, and that was a client who paid for $125 worth of edits, another client who paid $250 worth of edits, another client who paid $450 for edits, and a client who booked a new portrait session in studio for $250. So to give you my full grand total for September, I made $15,545. I will say that that was a good month for me. Of course, as a creative entrepreneur, things fluctuate. Depending on what part of the season or part of the year it is, I have more weddings than I have photo shoots. And then other parts of the year, I'm doing more photo shoots than I'm doing weddings, especially in Connecticut, where a lot of people jam-pack their weddings within a 5 to 6 month range. And when it gets cold in Connecticut, no one wants to really get married in December, January, February. So like I'm usually doing more portrait work and video work in those months. So September was good to me. I will say typically at this point in my career, a slow month to me would be $10,000. A good month would be right around what I did in September, $15,000, and a great month is $20,000 and above. And the last thing I want to share with you guys is the breakdown of how much money I made from each category, because I think that's very important. So for me, as I look here, $8,050 was all wedding balances and deposits. So that was the top of the line for me with income for September. The second place was $3,550. That was photo shoot session fees, just the session fees. Next was $2,275. That was edits at $25 per. So when I did the math on that, I edited 91 photos. I do personal work too, so I edited way more than 91 photos in September, but clients paid for 91 edits of photos in September. Fourth place was content for brand partnerships at $875. Fifth place was content for small businesses at $375. Sixth place was $320 for wedding albums. And last but not least, seventh place was $100 that I made in tips. So hopefully this has helped out someone who just picked up a camera or wanting to go full-time, or someone who has even been full-time for a little while now, but just interested in seeing what the finances of other photographers and videographers are in the industry, and also based on the area that they live in. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. I'll definitely answer them to the best of my ability. And let me know also if I should continue to do this monthly or quarterly, or I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not about to do it monthly, but I'll probably do it 3 to 4 times a year. But let me know if that would be something you'd be interested in. And I'll see you guys on the next one.